everybody. In case anybody wants to speak or ask a question or participate or give a suggestion or anything, you can just raise your hand, the virtual hand. If you raise the virtual hand, I will unmute you and then you can speak during the session. So welcome once again, everybody. This is sharp 9 o'clock. I would like to take this wonderful opportunity to welcome every one of you. This is stimulating series of SkillUP presentations. We call them SkillUP, so that all of us, the presenters as well as the participants, will have an opportunity to upskill themselves. This is a very unique platform that we've thought of creating to bring the LCIPs closer to Lions. LCIPs are, as you all are aware, the highest qualified, highest certified trainers in Lions Clubs International, and they are the most skilled facilitators. And we wanted to bring the wealth of knowledge they have and the wonderful skills they have closer to Lions at all levels, both the trained and the non-trained, institute trained and other Lion members at all levels. So that's why we said it's open to everybody, not only LCIPs and FDIs and the LLIs. So everybody is welcome to participate in this series of programs. So thank you for being here. I once again welcome all of you. One thing that I'd like to say before we go on to start the program is that whatever you learn here, don't keep it to yourself. Please pass it on to the other members of your club also. The new found knowledge, whatever you learn here. So at the earliest opportunity that you get to communicate with the members of your club, please transfer it to them as well. We have decided to start this program by reading out the Lions Code of Ethics. For this purpose, I would like to invite Lion Amarnath Rao, Lion Praveen Murray, Lion nagaRAJU, who join me to read the Code of Ethics of Lions Clubs. Lion, Amar and Raju and Praveen, I think you are ready. Please raise your hand so that I can see you. Please raise your virtual hands. Can I see you? Yes, I'll share my screen and start there. 1 second, just give me a moment. Give me a second. Yeah, I think my screen is shared now. So let's all read the Code of Ethics together. To show my faith in the worthiness of my vocation by industrious application to the end that I may merit a reputation for quality of service.
To seek success and to demand all fair remuneration or profit as my just due, but to accept no profit or success at the price of my own self-respect lost, because of unfair advantage taken or because of questionable acts on my part. Praveen, unmute.
To remember that in building up my business, it is not necessary to tear down another's, to be loyal to my clients, our customers, and true to myself.
Whenever a doubt arises as to the right or ethics of my position or action towards others, to resolve such doubt against myself.
To hold friendship as an end and not a means. To hold that true friendship exists, not on account of the service performed by one to another, but that true friendship demands nothing but accepts service in the spirit in which it is taken.
Always to bear in mind my obligations as a citizen to my nation, my state, and my community, and to give them my unswerving loyalty in word, act, and deed, to give them freely of my time and labor and means.
To aid others by giving my sympathy to those in distress, my aid to the weak, and my substance to the needy.
I think Raju is muted.
to be careful with my criticism and liberal with my praise, to build up and not destroy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. So we are going ahead with the main program. I'm happy to tell you that we are extremely happy today to have our second International Vice President, AP Singh ji with us as our distinguished guest for this first of the series. It's truly an honor to all of us. I'm sure all of you know how busy his schedule has been, and then how difficult it is for him to spare time to a program like this, but he has given us time, and we consider ourselves very, very fortunate for that. I request International Vice President Lion AP Singh to inaugurate this series and also give his valuable message.
Thank you, my friend nagaRAJU. Thank you, and it's such a pleasure to connect with friends from all over the country here today on this virtual platform. Technology does wonders. Technology has played a very important part, more so. It was always there, but in the COVID period, the way the Lions adapted and adopted to online meetings and online seminars, it's been a fantastic journey since then. And thank you for organizing this upskill series. It's very important, you know, the best players in the world must also go to practice. In fact, they are the best players because they keep on practicing regularly. You will never find a player, say, of the caliber of Messi or Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli or anyone, any sports we can pick up. You'll never find a player who doesn't go to practice every day, maybe more than once a day. They may be the world champion, they may be right at the top, they may be the star, they may be the individuals who are referred to as the gods of their individual games, but still, they would be practicing day in and day out. That's what helps them to stay essentially as the champions. If they lose that opportunity of practice, if they do not exercise their physical muscles, their spiritual, emotional muscles, their social skills are not sharpened at all points of time, they will lose the real edge. There is a real edge of the champion. So they are there at every point of time and they're training. And today the training comes in so many different ways. It's not just the training of what they are doing. It's a training about the way they are carrying themselves, the way they are, you know, the way they are representing the game, the way they are representing the organization that they belong to, and everything. It's a very wide range of training across, all across. Today, rather with our cricket teams in India, because all of us watch cricket and all of us are so, so much involved in that game, whether we play it or not, but we are always watching it keenly, some game or the other, some tournaments or the other, some matches are always on in most parts of the year. The fact is that today our teams also have what they call the psychological coaches. So it's not just the physical, it's not just your side. And within your side, there are specialist coaches. So training has become very important, extremely important. And that the same way, it's important even in our organization. For everything that happens in our organization, running of clubs, reporting, some kind of activities, fundraising, marketing, for branding exercises, club level, zone, region level, district level, of course, at the multiple district area and the international level. I mean, there is so much of expertise that is required. Today, we talk of professionalism in running our organization. Now, professionalism does not mean that we get paid to do it. Professionalism is an attitude. Professionalism is a commitment. It's a commitment to deliver more than what's been promised. It's a commitment to be able to work towards delivering more without being supervised. It's a commitment towards quality. It's a commitment to staying fair. It's a commitment to integrity. It's a commitment to organization to continue to develop oneself so that we continue to remain relevant, so that the organization continues to remain more relevant. So it's all of it. All of that's covered in that attitude of professionalism, which is required to be displayed, and it's required to be practiced. And for that, we continuously need to remind ourselves, we need to share best practices, we need to learn from each other, we need to even open ourselves for discussions and be ready to accept some kind of positive criticism that helps us grow, that helps us improve, that helps us become better. Now, all of that is a part of the training programs. And most of you, or rather everyone here, is involved in some kind of training program or the other. And thank you very much for all that you are doing. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the talent that you bring. And I think working with the Lions Clubs and going through the various phases of this kind of self-improvement and then delivery, ultimately we try to better our own performance. In each one of us develops. Now, you are doing it, and I'm sure you'll continue to do it. And you'll continue to do it because you love it, you enjoy it, you have a sense of satisfaction. And that's very important. It's important that we love and we enjoy, because then it's not done as an obligation. Then that becomes a part and parcel of our life, of a lifestyle. And that's the way it should be. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing and for organizing a series like this, from which everybody, each one of us who's joining here, will benefit. nagaRAJU and everybody else who's working for the series, congratulations and thank you, all the best. One thing that I would like to tell you is that in every organization, in the history of every organization, there comes a time where a certain specific contribution from every individual who's playing an important role in some manner or the other is required. That's required because that organization, that entity, may be passing through some kind of a challenge, or may have accepted some kind of a challenge. As you have been trying to reach out excellence, as you have been trying to promote and propagate quality, as you have been trying to promote and propagate delivery, over-deliver than what you have promised, and deliver service, deliver leadership programs, make our organization stronger. Basically, everything, every part of the training, somehow or the other, fits into the overall statement of making the organization stronger through individuals who are better equipped, through individuals who are more, made more capable, whose capabilities have also been enhanced. It's all about capacity building. And that's what it's all about. Today, our organization is passing through that phase. You know about Mission 1.5, and we truly need your support. Each one of you here who's in this online meeting, I really appeal to you. Today, you have to take a step forward beyond the training programs, and you have to demonstrate through your efforts that it's important to get in more volunteers. Your club, any other club in the district, any other district, to be able to initiate club branches, to be able to charter more clubs. Today, we do need you to demonstrate by action. And that's going to be the great lesson that you will be teaching all our members, that it's all possible. It's nothing very difficult. It's simple. We need to go out. We need to ask. We do need to make that extra little effort. We need you today in every training that you are conducting to be able to tell the Lions that you have yourself inducted so many members. You are working towards chartering of so many new clubs, that you've been successful, and to explain to them that even they could do it. It's no rocket science. This one part of training, first leading by example and then speaking to everybody concerned, is something that all of us need, and I trust that you will take care of it. Have a great evening. Let's enjoy this event, and let's continue to enjoy our stint in the organization. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, nagaRAJU. Turning it back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that opening remarks, as well as the message that you've given us. I'm sure this series will help, like you said, reach Lions and then upskill them, and continuously, constantly help them learn new things and also become better Lions. That's the whole purpose of this series, and you have rightly pointed out that this can
You
be.
could take away the focus from me and bring it back to the grid. I think that would be best for everybody.
Sure, I'm doing it, sir. One second. Yeah. Thank you so much. I was telling you that the International Vice President has made it possible to join us this evening despite his commitments. And we are very, very happy. We are really fortunate to have him here with us. And thank you very much for this wonderful message that you have given us, and also the initial thrust that you have given the series. Thank you very much. Now we are going on to the next part of the program, the most awaited part of the program. I am sure you are all aware that I think our past international director, Sunil Kumar, is one of the most renowned speakers in lionism. And he is here today with us. But I must tell you a few things before I invite him to speak. He actually flew in from Mumbai today. He was busy with some GATT-related workshop yesterday and the day before, and then he just came in the afternoon. I had requested him to make the first presentation of this series some time ago, and he fortunately accepted. But today afternoon when he came here, he was running very, very high temperature and suspected to be malaria. And he was a little worried whether he could make it or not in the evening. And in fact, he asked me to keep ready plan B. But luckily, in the evening when I called him, he said that he would like to keep his commitment because he had already committed to make the presentation. He said he will keep that commitment and make the presentation. Please post your questions instead of that greetings and all that. You can post your questions, comments, any suggestions in the comments box. And we will listen to Lion Sunil Kumar first, and then we'll have a question answer session also followed by that. Over to Lion Sunil Kumar.
Thank you very much, Lion nagaRAJU, and allow me to congratulate you and thank you for taking up this initiative. It's an excellent way that trainers can think of their own initiatives. You don't have to wait for someone to ask you to do it. To be able to think about something and do it yourself is itself an important aspect of not just being a trainer, but growing up as a trainer. And I think all of us are truly delighted that this initiative of Lion nagaRAJU has almost 419. We have 419 of us here. He was looking at maybe 300 of them. I saw one of his messages saying that he was upgrading his Zoom account to 300, but that seems to have exceeded. So nagaRAJU, your expectations have gone beyond, and congratulations again for that. Our Vice President set the tone. His first statement is absolutely an excellent preamble to the subject that I have been asked to connect with you today. And he talked about champions players also have to consistently be practicing. So that says it all. You really don't have to ask more when you talk about how good a champion are you. If you're a champion, then how much of effort are you investing in not being who you are, but in being who you ought to be? Because who you ought to be is not something that is known to you. Who you ought to be is what you create for yourself and the changes you bring into your own life. So dear friends, I'm truly delighted that I have this very unique opportunity of interacting with the trainers of India, your LCIPs, your FDIs, and allow me to congratulate you. And before I start off my presentation, allow me to mention that in the last 24 hours, I've been sleeping for 16 hours, trying to make myself available to be present today. And I'm glad that things worked well. And I may not be very effective in my presentation, but I believe it's content that actually will have to drive this session. So I'm trying to connect you with who you are, you with who you ought to be, and what are these barriers that actually come our way in going beyond who we are. More importantly, we will also connect the trainer per se with life that we all live. So we would like to bring in a combination in all of this, and let's try and start being a part of a journey that I believe all of us are already involved with. I hope, nagaRAJU, I can share my screen.
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Can you see it?
Yes, please. We can see that.
Okay. The session that's been assigned to me is a very interesting one. So when I got a message from him saying that there are about 45 plus modules that have been offered to people, and there's one module that was not taken up by anybody else. I said, I would like to do that module. And here we are. It's about learning to learn. That's the topic. And it all starts with a question. Am I open? If you're not open, forget it. There's no point trying to learn. But if you're open, then what is it you ought to do? And what is it I ought to do? What is it we all ought to do? It's like getting into a journey into the unknown. I spent a lot of my time in the last 30 years, especially during the late 80s and 90s, when I was involved with doing a 7-day public speaking programs for batches of 15 to 20. I still recall a large number of them who were too reluctant to come forward and even attempt to speak for a few minutes. They were nervous, they lacked the confidence to speak, and they were unwilling to even attempt, forget about attempting. Now, in that kind of a scenario, a 7-day public speaking program, very judiciously done, 4 to 5:30, 1.5 hours every day. And on the 7th day, it's a larger schedule and people have to perform. But after 7 days, when you see the transformation that happens in people, it's incredible. And today, many of those who are unwilling to even attempt to speak are amongst the best of trainers. Now, why does this happen? Why does this happen to people who believe that speaking is a subject that they cannot be a part of? And today, speaking is their profession. Now, look at the swing. Look at the swing from who you were to who you are. So learning to learn is actually the swing in life. It's a journey into the unknown. We are talking about our urge and ability to challenge the status quo. What happens in life is we live with who we are. We don't want to change it. We are comfortable being who we are. That's why there are a lot of books called, beating your erroneous zones and Wayne Dyer, and many of those books which talk about comfort zones. We have a book on psycho-cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who himself was a plastic surgeon. And one day, a very young lady, very, very good looking, came across to him and she said, "Can you perform a surgery on me?" And he said, "You look so good. What's your problem?" She said, "I want to look even better." And that's when he decided that it's not his investment on the external, but his investment on the internal that must be his focus in life. And he wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. If some of you can lay your hands on this book, it's quite an old book, but it's a wonderful book. Tells you all about getting away from your erroneous zones. and your comfort levels in life. So when you talk about what's my joy of life, my joy of life is about my urge and ability to challenge the status quo, right? It comes from encounters with new experiences. Our encounters with old experiences, not really as much a joy. Now, the question we need to ask is our horizon an endlessly changing one? I mean, are we looking at a perspective that can consistently change? So learning to learn, what is this all about? Think about it. Invest a little time on understanding the title. Like nagaRAJU has coined the title saying, learning to learn. What does it actually imply? It's talking about how can I consistently learn, full stop. Because you've already learned enough in life. But do you need to? The question is, do I need to? How can I consistently learn? As trainers, I believe it's a very important obligation on us, if not for the world, for ourselves, not to remain at a position that you already are in. I see a lot of Lions trainers. They've been there for a long period of time. But then there's very little that has changed in the way they think, the way they present, and the way they are able to relate the subject with the audience. So the big question, dear friends, is how can I consistently learn? Do I need to? The answer is yes, I certainly need to learn, consistently learn. And how can I do it? So learning to learn starts with learning to unlearn. You must be wondering what's unlearn all about. Unlearn is to take away something that's rigidly set up in your minds. Your mind has certain biases. Your mind has certain, knowledge that doesn't change. It remains where it is because you're banking too much on it. The first 4 alphabets of a software developer that he or she was taught is GIGO. GIGO is all about garbage in, garbage out. So that's what unlearn is all about. Whatever we've learned can't become garbage. It becomes garbage if you stay with it for the rest of your life. It becomes garbage if it prevents you from learning more in life. So unlearning is first important step for you to learn, right? So we need to unlearn. I know a lot of you have excellent learning that has become a part of your resource today. You are able to speak. You are able to conduct a program. You are able to write. Why? Because there's a lot of learning that has happened to you. But if you want a higher level of learning to set in, then you can't depend too much on it. And if you can't depend too much on it, then you need to surely unlearn first. In other words, take it out. Take it out from there. It's like throwing garbage out. Take it out from there. And then when your mind is open, new learning happens. So learning to learn starts with learning to unlearn. It's not enough if it's learning to unlearn. It's also about learning to upgrade. What do you mean by upgrade? I can't be a version 2020 anymore. I have to be a version 2023. You go to a television store, ask for a television of a later series, and then you will find there's a lot of difference between the product that is right now on the shelf versus the product that was there on the shelf a couple of years ago. Why is it? It's because every moment the R&D, the organization per se, the product heads, they want to come up with more features in life. So you can't be the same, you need to upgrade. So learning to unlearn must actually lead to learning to upgrade. And then comes more important, the focused area, learning to upskill. We talk about skill management. It's called honing your skill. When you say honing your skill, what is the meaning of honing? It's sharpening. We need to sharpen our skills. It could be skill of speaking. It could be skill of presenting. It could be skill of engaging people, right? Today we are talking about, I always keep telling in all my sessions to trainers, follow a 40-60 formula. 40-60 formula. 40% lecture, 60% engagement. You can't be doing a 80-20, right? 80% lecture, 20% engagement. It's no more a world where lecture dominates. In Lions, you have a lot of young lions coming forward. Imagine a session like RLLI. We are doing 11 RLLIs every year in India, with an average of 500 to 600 people all over the country every year, maybe even more. Some RLLAs have 75 people, right? 600 new entrants joining leadership development in Lions. It's a large market. So how can you not change your approach to training? So 40-60, not more than 40-60. It could be 30-70, even better, right? So learning to upskill is about how you convert the upgrades into a higher form of skill, where you consistently need to skill up. We are talking about outperformance, and that's the goal. How can I be better than who I am? A big question we must all ask. Am I really good? I may think I'm good, but I'm not really good. A big challenge with a lot of trainers. Trainers feel, oh, I think I've done well. Sorry, it's your own conclusion. It's your own conclusion that you've done well. Have you really done well? Now, that's how life goes on and life changes. So how can I be better than who I am? That's what outperformance is all about. Today, in my own perspective of leadership development in Lions, particularly related to us, the trainers, I see some challenges that many of us face. And what are these challenges? They don't think new when they do their next program. I've done my previous program. I've got my PowerPoint in place. I've got my notes in place. So I believe that's what I need to do. I don't think new. Well, if you can't think new, then the element of unlearning is not actioning. So you need to get into that area. They find comfort in repeatedly doing what they have done well before. You've done a session. It was well received. Fine, you may do it a couple of times, but then you can't be doing that same thing again and again, right? I remember a program that we had in Hyderabad. It was called PETS, Program on Effective Trainer Strategies. And what I advised a group of friends, we were about 70 of us, I said, these were the days when we had those transparencies, overhead transparencies. And I'm sharing with you a real fact of life. And I asked these people, this was sometime in the 90s, I said, we are having a campfire. And I also advised them that in this event, we would have the awards for someone who's got the maximum number of transparencies, and there would be a judgment on the same. So these 70 trainers from all over the country, they came to Hyderabad with those transparencies. And I said, okay, good. And we said, Can you display it on a table? They did it. Some had 200, some had 300, some had 400 transparencies. You know, those days you were using the overhead projector, and overhead projector predominantly required transparencies. That evening, I said, can all of you bring them over? We have a campfire. Now, they didn't understand what the relationship was between a campfire and the transparencies. So we had a campfire. It was winter, December. And what I asked them to do is throw the transparencies in the campfire. Very reluctantly, they did that. But they did it finally because they were asked to do it. And a few of my friends said, Sunil, how could you be so rude to them? Isn't that cruel that you ask them to burn their resource? But believe you, my friends, I meet a lot of them. If they had not done what they had done, they would have never moved to another level in life. Now, that's what life is all about. We can't be finding comfort in repeatedly doing what we have done well before. They find it difficult to get away from their shores. You're firm-footed, you're where you are, but you don't want to get away from where you are. You don't want to get into difficult situations. In other words, trainers don't want to get into difficult situations. Given a subject, do you want to do a subject that you're good at, or you want to pick up a subject that you've never attempted before? Ask yourself this question. Like nagaRAJU had sent you a list of subjects, especially to those trainers who picked up these subjects. I'm asking them, did you pick up what you were comfortable with, or did you pick up something you've never done before? If you picked up something that you've never done before, hats off to you. But if you picked up something that you're very good at and you felt, oh, I should do this because I've tried this before, then that's a point which can come up as a challenge. Today, we are talking about levels of audience. It's changing, fast changing. It will continue to. There were barely a few trainers a decade ago in Lions. Today, there are much more. To get recalled among noticeable is a big challenge. So we are talking about so many trainers coming up every year. We have FDIs and then now local FDIs. And what happened in a local FDI? Our leaders went out and graduated everybody who attends local FDIs. It became a badge. The numbers grew. So we had to finally tell leadership division, please discourage local FDIs. It's enough. You have a couple of them for the CA, but not really for every multiple district that can have a local FDI. This very meeting today, I see 400 and whatever. Now, with these many trainers, isn't that a competition? It is a big competition. To get recalled amongst the noticeable is a real challenge. So, dear friends, when we talk about learning to learn, I think our living has given us a lot of lessons in life. And these lessons from living can be of great value. We can take a cue from life and growing up. We are not where we are. We are different. We have new work styles. We have newer gadgets. We don't want to go obsolete. Isn't that right? In your life, are you using a gadget that's obsolete? No. Are you not a part of a new work culture? Of course you are. Don't you want to think different and be different? You have been doing that. When the question of am I getting better comes up, I think every trainer must start looking at this question with a lot more depth into your thinking. Am I getting better? This is a very nice way to judge yourself. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you, period. So is your assignment as a trainer challenging you? If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And the point here is you must encounter the unexpected. If you want to encounter the expected, It's not going to work. You must be prepared to encounter the unexpected. That's where comes in the point of getting better in life. I don't believe you have to be better than everybody else. I believe you have to be better than you ever thought you could be, said Ken Venturi. Now, this is what living is all about. Now, I talked about life. I talked about gadgets. Now, look at what happened. What are your 10 most common features of your living today, which were not common 10 years ago? Think for a moment. Think for a moment. What are your 10 most common features of your living, which were not common 10 years ago? Today, you can't do without them. The tougher our living gets, the tougher we emerge. It's difficult to imagine that you cannot be that fast evolving, seemingly upgraded leader. We are talking about a new Lionism altogether. Mission 1.5 is a challenge, but it's a huge opportunity. People have shirked away from the responsibilities of supporting Mission 1.5 because it appeared a big challenge. That's why twice when it was launched before, it did not achieve success. But today, the wherewithal and the whole gamut of the approach for Mission 1.5 is absolutely different, crystal clear. And I can say it with a lot of authority as someone who's been passionately involved with Lionism. This time, it cannot fail. This time, it will achieve success. And it can achieve success much before the deadline that has been prescribed. We don't have to wait for 1st July 2027. It can happen even before. But then, that's what living is all about. Challenging yourself. Can I do it? Our vice president, I'm sure, and I can say it with confidence, is the one who changed the way the whole world starts thinking towards Mission 1.5. Maybe somebody else would have gone on a failure reinforcement, right? Somebody tried it before. It didn't work. So why should I try it now? Let it happen on its own. But no, the answer was different. The approach is different. The power behind the struggle is of a different level altogether. And there's no rest time at all till you achieve the goal. And that's what Mission 1.5 is all about. So if you want this to be a part of your growing up in life or learning to learn, then I think you must start looking at how you, as a trainer, can support Mission 1.5, because we can't fail now. There's no room. There's no room for us to retreat. All we can do is to move forward and try and achieve it. And it's not difficult. We are talking about a world of billions, 7 billion, and 1.5 can't be a not possibility. It's not possible that we cannot look forward to its accomplishment. So, dear friends, let's all gear up. We are great trainers. We want to remain successful trainers. I'm sure everyone present here today is looking forward to a role of a trainer who's a popular trainer in India to begin with. So for that, you need to shift paradigms. How can you shift paradigms? You need to reset your mind. I'll give you an example. Economic shock waves of 1920 overridden by innovative victory waves of 2021. 1920, my God, it was an economic shock wave. What happened? 2021, 21-22 got even better. I read an article recently which listed the top 5 in 50 most innovative companies: Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, and Tesla. So we are not talking about 5 large companies of the world. We are talking about 5 most innovative companies of the world, right? And that's where a new revolution of thought comes in. When the subject of gender equity came, what did TCS do? Tata Consultancy. They now have 100,000 women, 1:3 ratio. Now that's where you actually start looking at how you can go from where you are to where you ought to be. Warren Buffett said it so well. He said it's only when the tide goes out that you learn who's been swimming naked. Very interesting way to suggest that you and I will be challenged with many more tides in life. And we have to be a part of a wave. You can't duck that wave. We need to ride it. So it's a difficult world, but the opportunities are rewarding. The big question, dear friends, will I make it? We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. So stop condemning, stop disbelieving, stop thinking that this is ridiculous. If you look at the 4 forms of change, how does change actually happen? There are 4 forms to change. First time, when you try to bring in a change in an organization, it is ridiculed. When I say ridiculed, they would say, hey, ye nahi hoga. How can this be possible, right? But you pursue that I want to bring in this change. From the stage of ridicule, you go to the second level, violently opposed, right? Third level, it is questioned. And the fourth level, it's accepted as evident. Recall the 1991, the biggest strike in India, All India Bank Employees Association. They went on a large strike when they heard that computers were being installed in the banks, right? It was a big strike. First, they ridiculed. They said, how can computers do what we've been doing for the last several decades, right? How can computers manage the accounts of the customers? Second, they said, if you do it, the strike was evident, violently opposed, but it was conveyed to them no matter what. We are bringing in computers. Then they started asking questions. Will a computer do what a person has done? Right? And finally, accepted as self-evident. Show me one single branch of a bank in this entire country where there isn't a computer today. But then there wasn't any, right? Now, this is exactly learning to learn, to take you from a situation where you are to another situation altogether in life. If it can happen to organizations, it can happen to us, trainers. And I believe we should attempt to do that. Today, we are talking about, in the training arena, newer algorithms. The KPIs are highly demanded from leaders in position, which serve as norms to evaluate one ability to champion the morals. So we have this. We need to have this ability to champion the tomorrow that's coming in. You can't be standing aside. You can't be a spectator. To win the race, you must run the race, right? If you can't run the race, how can you win the race? And unless you run the race, you can't win the race. So that's what it is. That's what it's all about. So let's ride the possibility wave. There is a huge possibility that you can go beyond who you are. You as a trainer can evolve into a new form. You as a trainer can upskill to a level much ahead of what you currently are blessed with. But you have to make an effort for it. It's a think world. Start thinking about it. It's a think skills and not a think role world before us. So today, it's think skills, not think role. Don't just say I'm a trainer, right? If you say, I'm just a trainer, I'm an LCIP, so what? You may be an LCIP, surely, congratulations. So what? If you can't think of new skills, what's the point being an LCIP? Right? So, dear friends, let's ride the possibility wave. Proactivity prepares us. Reactivity repairs us. Right? Isn't that right? Many of us are reactive. I think it's time we get away from it, because we can't be in a mode where we are repaired. We have to be prepared. You have the freedom to choose wisely. Let's choose wisely. So, dear friends, let me come to my final statement. It's your way that you have to decide. Which way do you have to go? Do you have to remain where you are? Or do you have to consolidate? Or do you have to steer up to a completely different level? I certainly believe all of us have the capability to multiply our skills, to upgrade from where we are to another level. If it's happened to many of us, it can happen to all of us. So every single trainer, every single member of the faculty, because many of you love the word faculty, right? Many of us who would like to be faculty at different programs, my only message to you is discover your right way. Learning to learn is all about getting better. It's about performing differently. Now ask yourself, how am I different? Ask your wife, ask your friend who's been sitting at your programs, and ask them to share with you. Are you different? Have you gone better than the person that they've known in you before? Well, learning to learn is about surpassing who you are and how well you perform. It's an interesting journey in life. Absolutely interesting journey in life. To be surmounted with challenges that are difficult to achieve. And let's try to look at this as a challenge in life, that I am unable to get away from who I am. I am unable to upgrade my levels. I am unable to think differently. I think take these as priority challenges in your life, which must be your immediate mission. And if you can't get away from it, then you will remain where you are. So it's all about how you and I can consistently learn. So learning to learn is not to stop learning, and to keep telling ourselves learning is never ending. Learning has to continue, and learning must get us to outperform from our previous best. It's been a wonderful pleasure to be speaking to you today. And thank you, nagaRAJU, for asking me to open the innings. And I hope, despite my predicament that I'm going through, I've justified my presence here today. My profuse apologies to my friends that I've not been able to speak the way I'm normally known to, because I'm still on a laid back situation. And I think I'll take a couple of days to recover from where I am today. But nevertheless, it's a wonderful occasion to be connected with you. Let's remain connected. We've got this super opportunity. As evolution in this world has taken place, it's no more difficult for us to wait for an in-person meeting. We can do many such events that we are looking at. Having said this, I must also share with the other 400 of us. nagaRAJU has demonstrated that he can do it, and he started this series. There are many of you who can think similar. You can work out your own designs. You don't need somebody's authority. You don't need somebody to give you the go. And I know for sure the Lion trainers from India are too eager to join such interactive meetings. After all, it's 1 hour, and 1 hour in 15 days. If it can add to your learning, there can't be anything better. It's a wonderful honor to have spoken to you, and thank you very much, nagaRAJU. And to our Vice President, sir, the trainers here have got your message loud and clear. I must mention to our trainers that our Vice President expects that charity begins at home. When we go out and role model ourselves in front of lions, asking them to do this or do that, I think we should do it first. The big questions, two big questions that are being asked today, which are ethical and which all of us need to be aware of, is, as a trainer, have I sponsored one or two members in my home club? I'm a trainer, established trainer, very well known. I'm trying to tell the whole world, I'm a big trainer in Lions, but what have we done to the organization? Have I sponsored one or two members? Can the records communicate that as a trainer, I have sponsored one or two members? Second, have I extended a club? Maybe not every year, at least one club a couple of years. Lead a team of people. Is it so difficult for us, with all the skills at our command, to get 20 odd people together, train them, mentor them, and create a club? I think once we do that, the credibility of a trainer and a Lion member, when you put both of them together, this would be a rewarding experience. And I would encourage you to go ahead and do it. And that's one great way to support Mission 1.5. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions at this point of time, I am ready to answer them. Over to you, nagaRAJU.
Thank you, PID Sunilji, for that highly motivating presentation on this topic, which was not chosen by the other LCIPs when I made a long list of possible topics. And when I gave a very short list to Lion Sunil, he said all the topics are equally challenging and equally exciting. And I requested him to take up this topic to begin the series with. Before I throw the floor open to invite questions from the participants, I have a question for the LCIP here. So any LCIP can tell me, in the last 1 month, in the last 2 months, in the last 6 months, is there anything that you've unlearned to start learning afresh? Please raise your virtual hand and I'll unmute you and you can answer the question. The question is, Sunil Kumar ji asked us to begin by unlearning. Any LCIP can tell me, please, in the last few months, is there anything that you have unlearned to begin learning afresh? Yeah, Kalyani would like to answer. Kalyani, you are unmuted.
Yeah, thank you, nagaRAJU. Thank you, Sunil sir and Nathan sir. It is something like I was away from my organization for last 3 years because thinking that maybe like whatever I'm thinking and I'm delivering is not suitable for them. So I was in a break where I don't want to invest much on them and I want to have my own way of handling things. Then maybe like when I'm going through my FDI contents and LCIP contents, I'm just revisiting those things. Somewhere, something like, no, it given me a thought, why can't I go back and see that what I can contribute? So now I am actively participating in my official works also. So that is the one thing I felt like I need to come out of all my learnings and prejudice and whatever I'm having in my mind and start afresh.
Thank you, Kalyani. Thank you very much. I request the respondents to please be brief. Next, I think Mohan raised his hand. Mohan, go ahead.
Yes, it was really what I understood about unlearning is I would definitely admit that after going through my LCIP training, I found the things have a lot of changes happening in the training, how we have to train. So earlier I used to give, like a lecture format, how we will explain to them and all these things. But now really I totally discarded that type of learning. I really unlearned the earlier type of training, and I could adopt what is the method of involving people, learning from participants. That is more I focused. We interact with them and learn from them. That way they will start thinking. The way what we are giving opportunities to them to think and answer. That way they are learning more and we are getting the benefit. That is
Thank
why
you,
how
Mohanji.
I unlearned. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I think because we have only 15 minutes left now, I would like to throw the floor open to questions from anybody. If you have questions about the topic that has been discussed, I mean, relevant to the topic that we've discussed today, please raise your hand. I'll unmute you. You can ask your question. Surendra ji, I am unmuting you. Surendra Bhosle ji.
Yeah, sir. I'm actually delighted to be here on forum. I'm a professor for last 35 years in one of the reputed institutes in Matunga. I'm just traveling, but amazed because listening others will teach you better. And the audience, if one can reach to audience and understand their problems, I think we are done. Monotonously, there is no point in delivering something. But we should understand, and being an lion, I understood that, and today's session was fantastic, sir.
Thank you so much.
And,
Please be very brief with your questions. Straight ask your question so that will be saving time and more people can participate. Sunil ji, would you like to respond to that?
There was no question asked.
It wasn't a question, it was some kind of a comment. Seema Dheer ji, I am unmuting you. Seema Dheer.
Yeah, yes, I also did this practice of unlearning because I had perception that housewives can never come to serve the social people socially. So this was my personal perception. But when I became president of the club, so I started unlearning myself that no, if we will work with them, they will also come up to serve the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Maybe I am unmuting Anand Iyer ji. Anand ji, do you have a question? Please straight go to the question, please. Anand ji, unmute yourself.
Okay, straight to the question. Am I audible?
Yes.
My question is that I have a realization which I have come upon, that is, we only focus on growth. We talk about membership growth. We only focus on the statistics, the numbers. But then, unless it is backed up with some kind of ethics, it is not progress. And that progress, when it is backed up with some kind of a morality, some ethics, some spirituality, it becomes success. So this is the realization which I have been making. And I have been also thinking about the failures to reach 1.5 million in the past. And I think we should develop this idea more and more. And I'd like Sunil Kumarji's comments on this. Thank you.
Line Anandji, the question of ethics, I'm not ruling out. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying go and be immoral and getting more members into the organization. We are not talking about numbers. What we are talking about is the possibility of us to look at 1.5 million. Is that something that is not possible? Is that something that is too challenging? Is that something that is unthinkable? No, the answer is, I believe we can have one. We are not talking about why the world. Don't you think India today, with all the service that we do, with all the leadership that we offer, with all the training that we give to people, I always look at Lions as a university of life, right? With such a profound purpose behind us, even India can have 1.5 million. What's the big deal about it? Now, the question is, maybe at certain times, your question is based on the fact that a couple of times you've come across situations where people have misused growth. and people have not been fair to the organization. But that doesn't mean we are banking on them. I'm talking about good people like you and me. And I believe we should be able to get the right ones in. And if we don't get the right ones in, well, the others, whatever they do, we can continue to keep getting the right ones in. I believe we have so many programs, Young Lions programs. We've started the Leo Lions. Leo Lions is coming up in a big way. We are talking about more women involvement. Now, all this is a part of a new thought process that we need to go forward, taking away the vote of a family member. Now, let's not make this a subject of discussion today, but taking away the vote of a family member is itself an initiative to make sure that our numbers are not misused, right? So there are steps that are being taken, and I believe there's a lot more that can be done when trainers, the 400 of us, can start looking at how each one of us can get the right people into the organization. And then we stand
for that clarification. Thank you very much. The others who have raised their hands, a small request. So please ask your question relating to the topic today, the art of learning, the skills of learning, learning how to learn. That was the focus area. Though there was a mention of the membership growth and other focus areas, that's not the chief point that we are trying to make today. How to learn. Lion Sunilji gave lots of good tips to us. If you have any further questions on that, please pose them. Lion James Augustine, I am unmuting you. Lion James Augustine. Okay, he does not have a question. Lion Vikas Saraf, sorry.
Yeah, good evening, Sunil sir. I would just want to ask you, you said, Kena, you should go out of your comfort zone and try something new. But what happens is, if you don't have the requisite knowledge about the topic, there's always a fear of failure. So how do you overcome that if you have to select a new topic for training?
Okay, it's better to try and fail rather than not to try. I hope it says it all, right? It's better to try and fail rather than not to try. And the more times you fail, the better you become.
Thank you for that clarification. I mean, that wonderful tip that you've given, Sunilji. Anil Goradia.
Good evening, sir. First of all, compliments to Sunilji. It was wonderful listening to the whole presentation. Sir, I have certain comments, but in the comment, there is a question. So beyond the club leadership, if you see for an ordinary member, beyond a club leadership, if he has become the leader of the club and he comes to the district membership, and if the person is not going ahead or for any reason there are not opportunities for them to grow, then what is left for an ordinary lion in our organization? After 5 years.
Are you saying? Are you saying somebody who's not a club president has no role to play? I can't hear you.
I think he got muted. His question was, what's there for the young members in the organization?
Well, I think you are right now a part of it. You can become a trainer. You can become an LCIP even without becoming a club president. Who stops you from being an LCIP?
No, sir, my question, I think you have not got. My comment was that in our organization, if you go beyond the district, it's all about the district leadership. They can only rise. There are other lions, they cannot rise beyond the district because our structure is made that way. So what happens is there are many good qualified lions in terms of not only education, but qualified in terms of the surveys, in terms of their opportunities. They don't see a larger role anywhere in the organization. And I think that is one of the reasons that they take a backseat. And a lot of people are people who can really contribute in many sense, but they now look for ahead for other organizations to contribute.
I got your question very clearly. I think it's going to be a very long answer and we need to get on a debate. I would suggest we do it offline, Anilji, and you have really raised food for thought as to how we could engage those who don't go beyond a certain level in leadership, who have the academic background and everything else, but because they have no role to play, we may lose them, right? And how do we keep them intact with the organization? We'll go offline and talk about it. It's a related subject, but it's a totally different subject altogether.
Line Suchitra Sudhir.
Good evening to all. My question is, how much percentage of the time in a training session should we have interaction? And during the interaction, sometimes our discussion goes out of focus, and sometimes we lose the time. So that's a problem that I often face, because when I start asking questions, they keep going off track.
Learning by doing is the norm, Suchitra ji. And learning by doing is all about not saying what you have to say, but making the audience learn from doing. Now, engagement, how you engage the audience, now that's up to you. And to make sure the situation doesn't go out of control is again within you. You're the master of the class. How can situation go out of control when you have the controls with you? So don't let go your control, right? It's how you manage your control. And at the same time, why I mentioned about the 40-60 concept is that when you get onto too much of a lecture mode, unless of course it's a virtual session like this, if you get too much into a lecture mode in a class, people tend to doze off, and not too many people are excited about the session. So you need to get them engaged into your activity. So build in activities, build in strategies to engage them. It could be exercises, it could be case studies. There's so many techniques that are there. Use those techniques, but get the learning done. That's what is your challenge. And I believe that's where you should use, that's learning to learn. So you have to learn to keep the audience engaged and manage your time as well.
Thank you, Sunilji. Last question from Sanjay Gunawat. Line Sanjay, you can unmute yourself. Line Sanjay, do you have a question? No, I think. I think Mahendra Reddy or somebody had risen hand. Maybe he just dropped it again. I think Vijay Kumar Shetty, this will be the last question. Please go ahead. Vijay, we can't hear you. I think there is a problem with your Wi-Fi. Yeah, yes, better now.
No,
we can't hear you. Do you mind typing your question in the chat box, please? The last question. In the meanwhile, Nabil has a question. Nabil, please unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. It's about the challenge between our role and the investment made by LCI through all the training sessions we had and received for free, without making any power struggle with the leadership of the district or the district governor situation and program. Is there a way not to face this kind of challenges?
Challenges of what? Are you saying? Go ahead.
What I'm saying that we have so much to give, and we are ready. I think myself and all my colleagues are ready to pay back what we received for free from LCI. There's always programs, predetermined programs by the district governor. and they are not using this potential for all already made trainers, all LCIP.
I got your question, Nabil.
Okay.
Nabil, good evening. Good question.
Good evening.
This is a very common question. People are complaining that the good trainers are not used by their districts on assignments, and well, that's a very administrative part. But allow me to say that if you're a good trainer, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you from going out, conducting programs, doing things that you've not done before. Who asked Line nagaRAJU? Who gave Line nagaRAJU the permission to do the program today? He didn't need one. He started on his own initiative. Isn't that an adequate example? Go ahead and do it. Promote something like this to everybody else. Do it tomorrow, straight away, plan it off. Ask your club presidents. And I'm sure not all of them would come in. Whoever comes in is fine. Go ahead and do it, Nabil. Nobody can stop your talent. Please understand this. Don't be dependent on somebody to give you an assignment. I feel sorry for people who come and say, can I get an assignment? I think you're far ahead of that. Don't ever ask for an assignment. It should come to you. All the best.
Thank you very much. There are lots of other hands risen, but I'm sorry, it's already 10:15 and we promised to close at 10:15. That's why I cannot take any questions. I'm really very sorry. Do you mind participating in a very simple survey? How relevant and how useful this presentation has been to you? Please show your participate in the poll and give your opinion. How useful has this presentation been to you? As a trainer, as a learner, as a lion, as a senior, junior, whatever you are? I'll keep it open for another few seconds. Good. More than 200 people have already voted. Good. Excellent. We'll close in the next 2 minutes, please. Sorry for extending the time by about a few minutes. Yeah, I'm ending the poll in the next 5 seconds. Yeah, I have ended the poll. These are the results that I have received. I think you can see them on the screen. 71% of the people said it's extremely useful. And another 21, that's almost 95% people said that this topic has been useful to them. Thank you very much. I just would like to, 1 second. I just would like to tell you that the next program is on August 17th. What you see on the screen are the programs that are lined up. In case you want, you can take a screenshot. Otherwise, I'll share with you later. The same link will be operational for all the future presentations as well. So please be available on August 17th. Mark your